Good evening. Welcome to Stories Rock. It's really, really good to see all of you. Rochester is one of those cities where our arts and cultural calendar is always overflowing, so I know you had many other choices tonight. So I really thank you for choosing this one. I'm grateful to all of our readers and tellers. They have created stellar stories, and they've also chosen to be very vulnerable here in front of you tonight. And that's quite something. Well, tonight we will hear stories about creating family, adopting, blending, and finding your kin. And we're going to do this in reverse order. Family isn't always about blood. It's the people in your life who want you in theirs, the ones who accept you for who you are, the ones who would do anything to see you smile, and the ones who love you no matter what. And in Arkansas, where my mom is from, we call that finding your kin. Our next reader, Libby Moore, has happily adopted Rochester as her hometown after living in New York, Santa Fe, St. Louis, Philadelphia, and Boston. She lives with her husband, Bob Brennan, and their cat, Yonder, who provides endless food for conversation. And a little known fact about Libby, she climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in tennis shoes. She's going to read 10 Days.
Nobody told me it would be like this. These waves of love washing over me, gripping my heart, wrenching my very being with beauty and pain. I hold on to this miraculous baby, her face still brand new in the morning light. This child whose name is Anne Elizabeth. This infant in my arms is nothing but love. I hold her close and try not to think. She's 10 days old, my sweet Anne. 10 days in which I've held her and fed her and changed her tiny diaper. 10 days in which I've learned that love comes crashing through the dark woods and grabs you by surprise. 10 days, an eternity, and no time at all. Now that my 10 days are up, it's time to leave this home where I've been hidden away for the past 2 months. It's time to leave this refuge from the bright judging eyes of the world. The good ladies of St. Faith's, this home where I've been, the good ladies believe that we new moms, unwed and relinquishing our babies for adoption, should care for our babies for 10 days before we sign the adoption papers. The good ladies believe that these 10 days will help us to know that we're doing the right thing, that we're making the only possible decision we can, and that we will be good mothers when the right time comes. The good ladies hope that we won't make a fuss, and they offer us Valium on the day we sign the papers. When I'm just out of the hospital and still groggy from the drugs that they gave me for the birth, I meet with my social worker at the chapel at St. Faith's. She's a nice enough lady, but I can't confide in her about what brought me here in the first place. I can tell her how much I don't want to give up my child, how much I want to keep this precious infant, my beloved daughter. We sit side by side in the oak pew, sun streaming through the leaded glass windows. My social worker takes my hand in hers and says, "If you really love her, you will let her go. If you really love her, You will give her to a family with two parents, a family with money, a family who can love her and care for her, as you can't. All the certainty in that as you can't. The certainty that I am alone, that I have no income, no job, no means of supporting myself and a baby. The certainty that girls like me, white, middle class, educated, don't have babies out of wedlock, much less raise them alone. If you really love her, you will let her go. If I really love her, I think, I can't possibly let her go. And I start to weep. Frustration and sadness and anger all mingled with love. Because I know the social worker is right, that my Anne deserves a family who can care for her and give her everything that I can't. I know that I will have to do what I promised to do when I came to St. Faith's, relinquish my child so that she can be raised by a loving, intact family. But nobody told me how much it would hurt to let her go. Nobody warned me how intensely I would love her, how much I would want to keep her, to run away with her and find a life together. Nobody told me how love would blossom the moment she was born, and how it would grow and grow in my body, in my heart, in my brain, in my soul. Before she was born, I thought, I'll have a baby, sign the papers, and go on with my life as though nothing had happened. Nobody told me how much it would hurt. Nobody told me about love. And now, today, on the 10th day of love, I have to sign the papers. Moving through a Valium fog, I climb into the front seat of the social worker's car, holding Anne tightly to my breast. She's wrapped in a soft pink blanket and wears a little white cap that covers the forceps marks from her difficult birth. Her cheeks are pinker than the blanket, and the dimple in her chin reminds me of her father, who will never have the chance to see her. She sleeps as we ride the 20 minutes to the adoption agency, which is in a big Victorian house on a tree-lined street, not far from where my parents live. The social worker leads me gently into a sunny room with green and white striped wallpaper. There's a white wicker bassinet and a brass daybed with a flowered coverlet. Sun shines through the windows, through the billowing curtains. It's May and warm. The scent of lilacs blows in through the open window. The social worker tells me that I have a couple of minutes to say goodbye, and then leaves Anne and me alone in the room. I sit cross-legged on the daybed and hold my baby, rocking her back and forth. The comforting rhythm soothes me more than her. She's sound asleep, well-fed and warm. I stifle my sobs so that I won't wake her. Nobody said it was going to be this hard. Even Valium doesn't dull the pain. I try not to clasp Anne too tightly. I don't want her to cry or to know how miserable I am. I just want her to know how much I love her and that I will always love her. I don't want to let her go. The social worker and the woman from the adoption agency knock quietly on the door and enter without waiting for an answer. It's time, says the social worker. You can leave the baby in the bassinet. Someone will come in to care for her. I hold her close one last time. 10 days out of my body, and she is the whole of my life. 10 days, and she's no longer mine. The social worker lifts her from my arms because I can't bear to put her down, to see her alone in the bassinet. I don't want to leave her by herself in that sunny room with its green and white stripes. When it's all done, I've signed my real name, not the pseudonym I used at St. Faith's, on half a dozen forms and agreements and contracts. Who knows what they said? When it's all done, the social worker guides me out to the parking area through a different door, not back through the green and white room. We climb into her big black Buick, and she drives me home to my parents' house, where my mother stands waiting, her arms open to hold me close. One last bit. Of all the papers I signed that morning, the only one I remembered was the promise not to look for her. It had to be her decision to find me. So I didn't search actively. But after a while, especially after a class at Writers and Books where I started writing about this, I made myself easily findable through all the adoption registries I could find. And then on February 10th, 2001, 35 years, 8 months, and 12 days after I relinquished my Aunt Elizabeth, she found me. Mm-hmm. And the miracle is her parents had named her Annette, and everybody calls her Annie. So, thank you.
I have no words. Thank you.